Hello, beautiful world. It's us again.
That includes us, of course.
Slayer and Centauri Green. And we don't quite have a title yet for this one, but it's focused around what's inspiring it is the Glastonbury Festival, the music festival that's going on just down the road from us, about 8, 10 miles or so. And I've been hosting an event on Facebook to share the highlights of the festival. So I've been watching all the people I know who are there and social media posts and the BBC filming of the music. And it's like the Glastonbury Festival is so much more than just a music festival. It's a creative mecca. It's a gathering of 210,000 people in fields in the middle of nowhere. Like, and it's like a city emerges out of the cow fields, the dairy farm, and this beautiful experience happens. It's just extraordinary to experience it. And I think what we're probably wanting to talk about is not just the festival itself, but what genius and creativity inspires in us as kind of special moments of extraordinary connection and kindness and togetherness. So for you,
I'd say like some of these other super events that get broadcasted. As you say, it's not just about the event itself, the gathering of the people. It's about the way that other people around the world can plug in via the broadcasting system, the internet, and the BBC and other companies like that. So it is an event that's got its own generated energy.
yeah,
And I think that when you're listening to it on some sort of a device afterwards, like BBC iPlayer, you are still participating in the event, even
yes,
though you're not there at the event, or you
yes,
might not be listening to the event live broadcasted.
yeah,
It is still something which you are attuned to and which has some sort of effect on you, either emotionally or you feel that you're swept up in this abandon of joy and delight and love and whatever other emotions and feelings
yeah,
that may be generated.
yeah,
It's a desire to want to participate, and it's also a desire to be somehow part of a much greater global activity because
yes,
the event itself promulgates other things. The messages that are broadcast during the event might be about celebration of peace and sort of dismantling of various structures which are in any way detrimental to people's lives and the enjoyment of life. So these other messages are also ongoing. You may not be aware of it, but they are still
yeah,
there through the music, through what the broadcasting is saying, and through what the performers themselves might state on stage.
yeah,
So you've got to almost like be aware that you're participating in a bigger package of something which has its own momentum.
yeah,
And you feel perhaps in the build up to the festival the energy is there already,
yeah,
let alone when you're being present amongst this mass of people. And I think that's what we're actively talking about, something that is greater than the sum of the parts, but you only realize that when you start to look at all the individual components of festivals and events like this and the effect that they do have long after they are completed.
yeah. In fact, last night, Coldplay did the pyramid stage, performance, and I took this quote from Chris Martin, who's the lead singer of Coldplay. It was an incredible conference. I was like up till 12 o'clock, sitting on the sofa, like, yeah, singing away. But this is what he said. It's 2 or 3 sentences. So he said, at what could be perceived to be a very divided time on earth, Thank you for giving us and me restored faith that most humans can gather together very peacefully with all different flags, all different colors, different genders, sexuality, ages, everything. There's just singing and good times. There's no fighting, nothing like that. So thanks for being inspiring to us. And hopefully we're sending this out into the world as a beacon of togetherness in a time when that might seem like that's impossible. You just proved that it is. Isn't that beautiful? And that's what you see when you watch the unfolding of the Glastonbury Festival. It's not just music, it is a creative mecca of many fields, many genres, many types of creative endeavors. There's a theater and circus field, there's a kids field, there's a Greenpeace field, there's it's just like there's so many different facets to it. And people just unleash and express this joy, and they all seem to get along beautifully for 5 days together, all pressed into tents and, walking around. It's just an extraordinary thing to be a part of. And I think what you're pointing to is singers, musicians, artists, creative people can stir something in the general consciousness of us all, in the energetics of us all, in the upliftment of us all. And what happens, you listen to the music, you listen to the words of the song, you listen to 100,000 people singing all of that all at once. And even after Chris Martin said all this, he had the 100,000 people send love to the world. It was really quite beautiful and amazing. And I think that the unleashing of genius, creativity, joy, delight, as you mentioned, um, it stirs us to greater heights. It calls us into greatness. It lets us know we can be more, we can be better, we can be something extraordinary in ourselves. So,
As you were speaking, I was thinking about Peter Jackson and the trilogy of films that he created in The Lord of the Rings, and
yeah.
how he would stage some of these performances, such as getting crowd of people in a stadium to chant together, which would form the backdrop of, I think it was probably the orcs raiding at Helm's Deep. The thinking that goes into something like that, the creative, as you say, creative genius that's employed, and the ability to get people to come together, willing to participate in what is obviously a grand gesture, a performance of amazing creative ability, that when you listen to the films later, it is still there. You still feel that this was an epic creation
Yes,
that was made at the turn of the millennia.
yes,
And you just you just sort of like know that it marks a moment, just as there have been many other moments, I'm sure, with the Glastonbury Festival over its 50 plus year history. It marks a moment that says people come together for various reasons, but yet the thing that they're looking for, it actually is just part of something that is bigger. They're looking for perhaps peace. They're looking perhaps for creativity, spontaneity, joy, a feeling of aliveness. They want to listen to great music with their favorite performance, but something more than that is being created.
yes,
And that, I think, is what we're really talking about. What is it behind these events, these performances that capture us so much, if we just attend to the feelings that it stirs into us, and the magnitude of something that almost just lifts us up, and you feel that for days afterwards, you're on this cloud of the wonder and of joy and of exhilaration.
Yes.
And you wish it to be like that all the time, that you're listening to the music, that you're being with the people, that you're witnessing performances. And of course, we want to know how that is being done. And
Yes.
can that be created day by day in everyday life to that sort of same standard
Yeah.
of alertness and awareness?
I'm searching for a quote from a friend of mine this week who's been to, I think she said 30 different festivals. I think this is it. No, it's not. Just a sec. Um, and she was talking about it being, well, I can't find it. So she was talking about it being a mighty, mighty thing, the Glastonbury Festival. That was her words. That it's magical, but it's a mighty, mighty thing. And I thought, yes, it is a mighty, mighty thing. Because what you're referring to is something when genius and creativity and joy pour forth in us, something is unleashed inside of us. And that something that gets unleashed is what connects us all. So we become connected at a level that we may not normally be. And then the music or the writing or the art or the whatever it is, it stirs something in that place where we are all connected. And it elevates us to the better versions of ourselves. I would say elevates us into a place of greatness. And when we touch that, that's what we're looking for. So a lot of the people that attend the Glastonbury Festival, and over many years, not just this year, but they refer to it as something like a Shangri-La, where this is the way the world should work. You know, they talk about it like that. And then they go back on Monday and Tuesday to their regular jobs, and they're like, whoa, like, this is how the world should work. This isn't how the world should work. And what they're trying to do is bring that into their lives, and then they search for that. And I have to say that Sir Michael Eavis, he was just knighted this year by the king, he's the founder of the Glastonbury Festival. And he has sourced a space in which greatness can occur. So there are many, many charities involved, Oxfam, WaterAid, Greenpeace, many, 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 too many to mention. And they host events, they host stores, they host fields of activities, and they generate funds through it for their charities. And everybody who comes is a part of that. So a lot of the musicians, and there's poetry, and there's, theater and circus fields, they're talking about peace in the world. They're talking about togetherness. They're talking about joy and creativity and all the things that I think that's what should be making the world run. I was thinking this morning, maybe musicians and artists should run the world.
Don't forget writers.
And writers, yes, us. Yeah, we're both writers. Yes, because we have a tendency, I think, to be more visionary, to see what's possible and to write about it, to sing about it, to paint it, to dance it, to bring it creatively into the world in some way. And I wrote this post on LinkedIn this week where I was talking about, I read a book that I thought was going to be a visionary book, but it wasn't. And I said, it seems pretty basic to me. You just unleash genius in everyone is the place to start in the world. Because once you unleash the genius, and then you train everybody in entrepreneurship skills, including big companies and including children in schools. And it seems quite simple to me. It's that, like, to me, genius creativity brings joy, brings greatness, leads us into greatness, leads us to new heights, new possibilities. It opens us up to something other than the direness that the news might give us, or the way some of the things that are happening in the world might lead us to feel. It opens us up to a different version of reality, which is now present in the world and very present in our lives. For sure, we live in the magical land of Avalon in the United Kingdom, and it's very,
Uh,
very present in our lives. So yeah.
well, as you were talking, I made a few notes just so I could hang on to them when my turn to speak comes. If I go back to Michael Jackson for a moment, and I think because I know that there was a book that was written which described the process of the making of the trilogy. If I think about what it was that he was envisioning, it wasn't about to create some films to meet a market approval.
Yeah.
It was to produce something of epic greatness. And that takes things to another level.
Yeah.
It's like instead of trying to make a profit on a series of films, we know which gratify certain elements of the industry, he had something different to offer. And I think that's what people celebrated when they saw the trilogy in its fullness for what it really represented. He elevated the movie industry, in my eyes, to a standard of greatness.
Yes.
So for me, there's something which is about the elevation of greatness in whatever is being achieved and whatever energy is being put to. I've come back to the festival again, what you said about Michael Eaves creating a space in which greatness could flourish, elevating musicians and the people that come to pay to listen to those musicians into a different space
Yeah.
in which people just feel that not only are they accepted, but there's a joyfulness about the whole event, that it doesn't matter if it rains or it doesn't matter, if something happens and their tent gets demolished. Somehow they know that they're going to be okay, that people are going to rally round and support them, in being there. And people have that generosity of spirit. And I think that can't be downplayed in any way whatsoever. There is a generosity of spirit that is in people, that sometimes it is dormant, but it is there nonetheless. And when people come together, that generosity gets aroused, that spirit of being present to something of greatness. It
Yeah.
takes on almost like it takes on a life of its own. It isn't you're talking about a concept or about an idea of how people can get along together. It's like an energy is created that is the event and more than the event. It is the people and it is more than the people. And that is what we're really talking about. That's what we're really asking people to pay attention to. That's what we're really talking about the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings films and maybe the Matrix trilogy as well. Something of such a standard of greatness was being employed to allow people's consciousnesses to be lifted to a place where they go, wow,
Yeah.
that was amazing. And it has impact afterwards, after the watching of the movies, after the being present to something that just takes them out of their realm of normality and
Yeah.
puts them into a different place of a different reality entirely. And that is what people want to have as well. They've seen a standard being set. They've found themselves in a different reality. They want to be in that reality with
Yeah.
other people of like-mindedness, of like-spiritedness, of like energy. And they know that something then is right in themselves and in the world.
I won't even follow that with any more words. That was just brilliant.
Did I
I
hear
think
cheering?
I think we should call this Elevating us to greatness. You know, that might be what the title of this will be called. So we'll leave it there and hope we've inspired you a bit to elevate to greatness today and to do your part in elevating the world to greatness through your own creativity and genius and joy being unleashed into the world. Thanks for listening. Lots of love.
See you next one.